What are some practical steps you would suggest companies start taking to improve or fix or amplify their current company culture?
So the first thing you'll hear companies say is we got to change the way people are behaving, right? We got to change the way that they're behaving so we create a better culture. And if you just stick with that one headline, change behaviors, it will help. It will help for a little bit, but it won't last. The key is to actually change the mindset of each person in the culture. And mindset is what will inform the behaviors a person chooses and the effectiveness of those behaviors they choose. So here's where we got to break it down one more level. In order to change mindset, you first need to raise the level of self-awareness at that individual level. Like, you really need to show them what they're thinking. For an optimal mindset, you have to develop a person's familiarity, I can't say that word, with self-awareness. And this is the crux skill that underlies everything else. Most employees and leaders need help mastering this inner game, acquiring these EQ skills and this thought management that comes with self-awareness. So that is my all points bulletin message. But the way I would like break it down in terms of like steps, I would say the first thing is change mindset by raising self-awareness, which allows the person to respond to stress with maturity and curiosity. Figure out what habits and thought patterns that person is having that gets in their way. Like, I don't need to change, they do. That's a super common one I heard when I was in Victoria's Secret. Then the next step is, after we raise this self-awareness and we kind of uncover their thought patterns, is we start to shift their thoughts and beliefs about their work, about their job, about their boss, about their other teams. And to help people learn how to put down that armor that I was talking about earlier. Step 3 is teach them to use situational awareness and how to communicate differently by holding another person's perspective without reacting. It's an amazing skill, I think, to understand how other people's perspectives, and not just go with your assumptions, like not just stop listening and think that you have the right answer. We learn to operate from a constant state of curiosity when you're at this optimal mindset. The entire self-awareness transformation is really going from what I was mentioning, an inward mindset to an outward mindset. And with that, the results for the overall culture will be stronger. There'll be, like I said earlier, higher productivity and more satisfaction. So I think those are like the 3 steps. You got to raise the self-awareness. You got to start shifting how their thoughts and beliefs about the job and the work and the people. And then you got to teach them how to use that situational awareness, mostly driven from this outward mindset and curiosity.
Wonderful. Okay. And that's super, I mean, it's simple. It's obviously not very easy to do, but it's simple enough that anyone can already start at least moving in that direction with their company, with their team. So what I'm getting out of our conversation so far is that, first of all, we need to understand that in today's world, in 2020, it's got to be the business that takes place on the outside, meaning serving the clients, the customer, and also the business that's happening on the inside, meaning taking care of the people that are building up the organization. And I think what you're making very clear to me is the fact that so far we haven't placed enough emphasis on the business within the business, which means we haven't done a sufficient enough job helping employees, helping people in the corporate space to understand their inner game and the role that they play in the overall culture of a company. So it has to start with me, essentially. And I as an individual have to realize that I bring a certain kind of energy into the workplace, and the more awareness I can have over whether I'm reactive, not reactive, how I perceive my coworkers, my boss, and all that, and how I perceive stress as well, actually determines my performance. Did I get that right?
Exactly. Yes. And you have so much more control over your performance and what's happening around you than you think. Because when we turn it to this raising their self-awareness, they realize, like you said, they bring the certain energy into the workplace, and they have control over that energy when you teach them how to have control over it. And you start to think about business as not only serving your external customers, but you're developing internal customer relationships with all the different teams and co-workers around you. Mm-hmm.
And so my job is to figure out how to have that outward approach, as you call it, while still maintaining my self-esteem, right? Because you're not saying that I need to put myself down. You're saying I need to develop a healthy self-esteem and still think about us, not just me.
Yes. And it's okay to have that, like, accept where you might be at in terms of figuring out how to grow yourself or obtain new skills, but still, try not to put on armor to protect where you're at, because you still need to grow and develop new skills, and be more self-accepting of where you're at while you grow and change and learn about others and be curious. So that self-esteem is a really tricky dance. And I see a lot of millennials struggle with that. And it's really teaching them in this development program how to accept themselves where they're at while they grow and change. And as they have more self-acceptance, the armor comes down too, because they're always trying to protect themselves when they don't feel like they have that self-esteem. So I'm happy you kind of brought that terminology up, because it does come into play in this performance management kind of self-awareness development.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Love